Okay, so welcome. This is my second video on my Jeep, maybe the third, I don't know. But I've had this Jeep for many years. It's been parked for about 4 years and trying to get it going. So I changed the starter out. I made a video on that probably 6-7 months ago. Really crappy video, so I apologize for that. It cut out in the middle of it and I didn't really know how to do video editing at that time. So you know, just trying to see if it'll turn over. What I'm dealing with right now is, you know, I got a little rat nest of wiring in here, but I've got the Start Master 200 here. This hooks up right to the start solenoid down there on the new starter and to the positive terminal, so I don't have to be in the cab and try to start it. So this is what I'm getting right now. Ooh, I actually got a little bit of a rotation there. So this is what I've been getting. So maybe my battery is just a little dead. I've got it charging here. I haven't put a voltmeter on it to see exactly what's going on, but that's good news that we are actually getting some rotation. I was just getting the clicking noise. So that's good news. So we'll go ahead and continue to try to get this thing to fire off. And then as long as I can get it to start, then we can start changing all these wires and plugs and, you know, spark plug wires and all that happy jazz out. And replacing those one for one, that little rat nest of crap down there over here, because I'm just trying to get this 4.2 running again. Okay, so I'm thinking that even though we have this hooked up directly, there is a lot of other wiring in here that you know, could be grounding out, especially to that starter solenoid. So we're gonna go ahead and swap some wires. I've got some new battery terminals here that I bought a while ago. We're gonna swap those, and then we're just gonna do probably a 1-for-1 on the majority of that little rat nest right there. Comes off this power terminal here. Looks like some kind of a terminal that everything that is tying into that 12 volts is going right there. So we're gonna look into that mainly for the starter itself. If there's any other issues, I just want to make sure it starts and we can get it running, and then we'll tear into that other stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and swap out these wires real quick. Okay, so we're going to get our battery removed, and we're going to set this off to the side and charge it with that battery charger. Let it charge up, and while that's going down, we're going to replace this positive cable, this one as well, which goes to like a relay kind of switch down there, and then we're going to replace this negative cable. So we're going to go ahead and remove these. This one here is a wing nut, so we'll just remove that. These are pretty old, and this is a little inline fuse. I checked the fuse, it's still good. I don't know what it goes to, but this it's broken, so whatever that powered, it ain't powering it right now. Well, it hasn't been powering it for a while, so we'll track that down and figure out what that is. So meantime here, these should be 1/2 inch, and we'll remove these. These are pretty old and beat up, so I don't think we're getting a proper connection all the way down anyway. So we're gonna go ahead and just swap them out, just enough to get the battery out of here for now. I'm actually trying to wear gloves now because I'm tired of my hands being all nasty all the time. The old lady don't like it. The wife, she doesn't like being called old lady. I'm not old. Okay, and this battery tray has a groove here that you kind of got to slide it in, and there is a just been hanging out here for months now. This is like a retaining clip deal that goes around the battery when it's installed correctly by a qualified person, not a hillbilly like me. So, well, let's not do that. Let's just set this right there so we don't lose it. And we'll set this aside and charge it. Okay, I got the battery over here with the charger on the Frankenbox 2.0. This toolbox I actually welded this frame together and mounted all these things together because I didn't have enough room for all my tools when I was working contract maintenance. So everybody kind of made fun of me for it, but guess what? I had more tools than everybody else and I did it cheaper. So, all right, so we're gonna use our terminal cleaner. So this battery looks like what, about 3 years old. So because I was using this one for my trolling motor and stuff like that, so it should still have a decent charge. So hopefully this thing will hold the charge enough for I can get this thing fired off. So we'll put our little clampy clamps on here and charge this bad boy. And yellow, good. So we'll let that charge for a couple hours and see what happens. Okay, so we're gonna start out by swapping out the negative battery cable. So when you buy new ones, generally a lot of times they'll come painted black and red for positive and negative. So just be aware of that. And also when you're hooking up your battery, because some battery posts are on opposite sides. So this one's very simple. Cable comes over here, got a zip tie connector. This is the alternator wiring, so we're going to look at that, make sure it's okay. But and then it goes over here. I believe this is a 9/16 volt. Let's check my calibrated eye. And yeah, you're good. That was actually kind of loose, so I'll take that bolt out. Now this ground wire also has this braided ground, which goes over here to the chassis of the actual truck or Jeep, whatever, the body. So I think we're just going to leave this alone. This should be all right. So we're going to go ahead and cut this here. So I've got a pair of diagonal cutter pliers, or dikes we like to call them, alternative lifestyle pliers. Give that a little snip, bam jam, and that is out. And now we'll get our new one. So I picked this up at, I think O'Reilly's or Advanced or something. I don't know, about 6 months ago. Comes with new hardware as well for the battery post. So we'll be sure to use that because that other stuff is old and corroded and undesirable. Okay, so made in the USA. All right. But probably shipped to China so it could be packaged. So it looks like we're going to use our alternative lifestyle pliers again here to cut this. Dang, make a liar out of me here. Jesus Christ. And we'll go ahead and simulate that that's connected. Bam jam, and then we'll take our older ground wire, just like that. Okay. Hopefully I can figure out how to like speed the video up. This is kind of boring. Let's do it this way. Up and over. How's that? And then we'll put this in by hand. It's kind of difficult because I'm trying to get out of the way of the camera. Okay. So we'll give it a good and tight here. Keep these wires straight as I can. Okay, and I'm already kind of seeing a problem there. I don't like how that's sitting against that plug wire, so we're gonna loosen this and readjust. It's kind of how it was before, but I mean, it's shielded wire, but steel. Still, just kind of common sense. Like maybe we should do it like that, huh? What do y'all think? So I'm trying to get this Jeep up and ready to sell it. See, I've got another project that we're looking at doing here, and I need the room in here, and I don't drive this thing anymore. So there we go. We got a new battery cable for that one, and now we'll migrate and do the positive one. Okay, so we got our positive wire here. So this terminal has two wires coming off it. One, this big one, goes right down to the starter solenoid down there. And then this smaller wire goes over here to this terminal, which breaks off to your alternator and a bunch of other things going inside the car, in the cab. There's also off this terminal wire that goes down to the starter as well. So that's mainly what I'm concerned with today, is replacing all these wires and get to the starter and just the start system of the vehicle, so we can try and get it started. So we're just gonna try and get this done real quick, because I'm trying not to make these videos like super long. So we'll replace this one here by removing this nut, maybe 9/16, I don't know. Well, that's tightening. Don't want to tighten. And I've got some of that gauge wiring in the garage over there, so we'll just do a 1-for-1 on that. So wherever all these other wires go inside the truck, I'm not 100% sure. So but for right now, we're just going to concentrate on this one. So we'll get rid of that guy. And while we're in here, we'll go ahead and take this one out, which goes down to the starter solenoid. And let's see if I can get my ratchet down there. And of course, it's a 1/2 inch. And I don't think I brought a socket with me, so we're going to use an old school wrench. Nice thing about these old Jeeps is there's lots of room in the engine bay. Newer vehicles, you got plastic everywhere, so it's kind of undesirable. Right, so we'll put that there. Okay, so we've got our negative wire off to the starter. I'm gonna go ahead and save this little battery cover dealie, you know, for nostalgia reasons, I guess. I don't know, it's cute. And we'll go ahead and replace that. So we're going to do exactly the opposite, or well, the same as what we did with the negative, and then I'll replace that wire to here. I'm just going to put these ones back on for now, and if we have a problem in the future after we get it running, we'll tap into that and take a look. Okay, so I've changed out this wire here, the solenoid wire. It was a red wire, but I didn't have red in that gauge, so I put new terminal ends on both sides and pop that back in. So quick, easy change. And then we'll go ahead and change the power wire for the battery real quick. Okay, so we got our battery reinstalled, new cables, which I'll point all those out here in a second, but I just want to make sure that this thing's been charging for a couple hours. We do have a positive 12 volts here, so let's see, looks like we've got 12.19 volts. So that should be good enough to start. So we'll hook up our Jim Jam and try and at least turn this thing over. So before we do that, I want to point out the wires that I changed here. Obviously, you saw we changed this ground wire to the battery. And I'm going to have to get a longer one of these because the battery is not all the way back. That's an easy swap. Or I could just change the grounding point to somewhere else. It doesn't really matter. So I did change this terminal wire up to our positive here. It is now a brown wire. I didn't have red in that gauge. I changed the positive terminal down to the new starter, and then the bottom starter one coming up to the starter, to the solenoid input on this relay here. So that's all new ignition wiring, and then I have new plugs and wires to swap out, but I just want to see if it turns. Okay, so we've got our assault starter, assault trigger starter. We're gonna attempt to start now. I don't care if it starts, I just want to make sure the engine turns over and it keeps turning over. So let's give it a shot. Wow, well that's much better. So now we got to track down fuel, which I've already removed that air cleaner. So we'll keep tracking that down, and we're gonna swap out all these plugs and wires. I'll probably have a separate video just on that. But we'll swap those out and then continue to try to get this thing to fire off. All right, welcome back. Digging into this Jeep a little bit more. So I wasn't having compression. I checked each cylinder for compression, and only cylinders 4 and 5 showed anything. Everything else was 0, so kind of telling me that something was jacked up. So I took the valve cover off, and this is what I've got here. So with the valve cover removed here, looking at my valve springs, and of course I got the garage door shut, so it's hard to get over here. This is right up against the door, but like, look at this. I got multiple cylinders. It's like Stephen Hawking built this top end. So I'm hoping that it's not a camshaft in there. I'm gonna probably just pull everything, pull the head off, check my lifters, and hopefully the cylinders are good. So Operation Shit Show, here we go. This is gonna be much more of a teardown than I wanted. I was hoping it was just a timing issue, and I went to check, you know, when I went to put it at top dead center, and then I wasn't getting any compression off the number 1 cylinder. And then I was like, oh, well, shit, let me check the other ones. And only 4 and 5 had compression. Everything else is just off. So no wonder we weren't kicking over and starting, you know, bad news bears, right? So I did get fuel and fire and everything worked out. I think, I don't know, the last time this Jeep drove, I drove it from Dallas, Texas up to Oklahoma City, and then it's kind of been sitting because I had some vacuum leak issues. So I'm not sure what went wrong here, but, you know, we'll figure it out. So thanks for tuning in. I'll have a follow-up. I'm going to go ahead and post this because otherwise the video will be like 18 hours long, but we'll figure out. I'm going to rip all this shit apart. I have to go to Waco, Texas for a couple days, so this is going to sit here, and it's too damn cold to be working on it anyway because I have to get the garage door open to even be comfortable over here. See what I'm dealing with. Garage, yeah. So I've got this thing kind of wedged in here. So I'll probably have to pull the manifolds off, and you know, all the accessories here. I mean, it looks like it really needs it anyway. I was trying to, you know, polish a turd here, but it looks like I might have to put a little bit more money into it than what I thought. So you know, stay tuned, I guess. Appreciate you guys. Shit.